Let's start by telling you that Nigerian-born British politician Kemi Badenoch has emerged leader of the Conservative Party in the United Kingdom, succeeding Rishi Sunak as leader of the opposition, the first person of African heritage to lead the party. The Conservative Party announced a victory on Saturday after the 44-year-old politician beat Robert Jenrick at the end of a 4-month contest following resignation of Sunak. The election was said to have witnessed a turnout of 72% of members who voted.
What stands before us is tough but simple. Our first responsibility as His Majesty's loyal opposition is to hold this Labour government to account. Second is no less important. It is to prepare over the course of the next few years for government, to ensure that by the time of the next election, we have not just a clear set of Conservative pledges that appeal to the British people, but a clear plan for how to implement them. A clear plan to change this country by changing the way that government works. The Prime Minister is discovering all too late the perils of not having such a plan. Our party is critical to the success of our country. But to be heard, we have to be honest. Honest about the fact that we made mistakes. Honest about the fact that we let standards slip. The time has come to tell the truth.
Ms. Badenoch was born on January 2nd, 1980 in Wimbledon, London, but spent her childhood in Lagos, Nigeria, and in the United States and returned to UK at the age of 16. She studied computer systems engineering at the University of Sussex and graduated with a Master of Engineering degree in 2003. She also studied law on part-time at Birkbeck University of London, graduating as a Bachelor of Laws in 2009. Her career began as a software engineer at Logica from 2003 to 2006 and worked as Associate Director at Cout from 2006 to 2013 and as Digital Director for The Spectator from 2015 to 2016. In politics, she joined the Conservative Party in 2005 and contested the Dulwich and West Norwood constituency in 2010 general election. Badenoch was elected to the London Assembly in 2015, elected as the Conservative Party candidate for Saffron Walden in 2019 general election, and appointed as a Parliamentary Under-Secretary of State for Children and Families in July 2019. She was also appointed as the Exchequer Secretary to the Treasury and Parliamentary Under-Secretary of State in February 2020, appointed as the Secretary of State for International Trade and President of the Board of Trade in September 2022 under Sunak as Prime Minister. And to talk about this in detail, I'm joined by Ekene Ezeji, a public affairs analyst, as well as Lade Hefziva Ulugbemi, a councillor, West Thaymead Royal Borough of Greenwich. Both of you, thank you both for joining me on the news tonight. Let me comment, with Ekene. I mean, how do you receive the news of Kemi's emergence as the new party leader?
It's clearly a landmark. It's clearly a historical moment. Either way, clearly she's one of those characters that people have found very outspoken, and to some extent, it's one of those, in the UK, you refer to her as a kind of Marmite personality. You either like her or you hate her. I think the equivalent in Nigeria would be maybe something strong flavored like bitter leaf soup. So she's one of those characters that is so flavorful that you either like or you hate, but irrespective of where you're coming from. It's clearly a historical moment because she's the first Black woman to head a major party in the UK. I'm celebrating, let's put it that way.
All right, let me get a perspective of Lade. What are your thoughts about her emergence as the leader of the Conservative Party?
It's a fact that we have a woman who has shattered the ceiling. And when we talk about the ceiling, it's interesting that we just concluded the Black History Month in UK. And one of the key things, the theme for this year is reclaiming our narrative. Black people have always been known to be inventors, to be creators, to be extremely intelligent people. And it's a win it's a win not just for the fact that we're Black, but it's also the fact that you have a female leading one of the two largest political parties in UK. It's a great news. Whether I agree with her views or not, I will talk about that later. But for now, is the fact that she has shattered a ceiling that has been on there for a very long time for Black people and also for females.
Well, okay, let me go back to Ekene. What factors do you think have contributed to her success or her victory as being elected leader of the Conservative Party?
Well, she's one of those characters that when you laid out her resume earlier, and it's quite instructive because it would seem to be a consistent rise. There seems to be a very determined focus about the way she's planned her career trajectory. You see that she's worked as an under-parliamentary candidate and then worked as a minister and then worked as a Secretary of State and just ascended in that way and worked in the two cabinets. She referred to the fact that people who have worked with her have found her to be a character that pulls on other people's opinions. So she's going to be someone who consults. That's the impression she's giving. She's outspoken and she's coming at a time when there seems to be a disillusionment, if you like, with what people term the left-wing agenda, largely to do with what she also has termed identity politics and LGBTQ sort of overtones. And she's able to speak her mind in a way that some would say, maybe you could say it's partly from her Nigerian heritage or just partly from her personality as a woman. She comes across as a strong character with a lot of clarity, with a very truthful, that would be, she would say that's her brand, that she speaks the truth. So I think those things bring some flavor. One of her mentors, Michael Gove, said she stood out from her contestor, Robert Jenrick, because he's a Tory boy. I think he felt that the country was fed up with the usual and that she would stand out. He also said that he was a Tory boy himself, but she would stand out because she would be something fresh about her outspoken nature, her candidness, and the fact that she was courageous. He used that word a lot, that she was very brave and courageous. I'll stop there.
Okay, let me get to the thoughts of Councillor Olade regarding, she being the first African to head one of the two major political parties in the UK. What do you think this holds for Africa and its people?
I am a little bit hesitant because we are from two opposing parties. So I'm a councillor, I'm a politician with the Labour Party, because some of her views have been labelled to be quite controversial. So I'm not going to go into that area. But for me, it's more around the fact that the trajectory and the narrative changes a little bit. And when I say a little bit, it's the fact that we have a Black person there, whether that is going to equate to trade, whether that is going to equate to advancement or a lot more collaboration with African countries, I don't know. But for me, what is important here is that a Black woman has shattered the ceiling, is the fact that she, most of the time when she's interviewed, she talks about her upbringing, she talks about her upbringing in Nigeria particularly. She talks about her experience when she was in boarding school. Although when she talks about it, she talks about it in a very negative light. But it's the fact that here we have a Nigerian British female as the leader of the second largest political party in the United Kingdom. And that says a lot. That says a lot for me, for every Black woman that is out there. Is the fact that every small child out there, I mean, a Black female child out there, can actually look up and think, you know what, that can be me in the next 10 years. Kemi went into active politics just in 2010. She became a member of the Conservative Party in 2005. But however, when you look at her rise, there's a fact that any girl out there can look at herself and say, you know what, I can be the Prime Minister in the next 10, 15 years. I can be the managing director of the largest financial institution in UK. She's a poster girl. That's the way I look at it.
Well, I mean, you touched on some narratives you don't want to get into. We'd like to hear about that. And also, just to mention, we saw a member of your party, Labour Party, you know, saying that she is a black face of white supremacy. What do you think that means?
It's very deep. It is really, really deep. Some of her views, she has very strong anti-immigration views. And for somebody who, you know, one of the ways she presents herself is that she's an immigrant. She was born here, but she was taken back home. And when I say back home, she was taken back to Nigeria, was in Nigeria up until she was 16. So she doesn't really see herself as a second-generation immigrant. The way she has described herself is that she's a first-generation immigrant. So for an immigrant to have such very strong anti-immigration policies, it says a lot. She's made some controversial statements around maternity pay. And there's quite a lot of things she said that I don't want to go into. But for me, I said she's a poster girl. I don't agree on a lot of her views. But one thing I do admire about her is her courage, is the fact that she's very articulate. Emotional intelligence is top-notch. She picks up very, very quickly. And it's one of the things Michael Gove did say about her, that she stands out. There's a warmth and there's a naturalness about her. And she's very intelligent, super intelligent. You need to see how she weaves around most of the questions she's asked. She thinks very quickly on her feet. And these are some of the fantastic characteristics a good politician should have.
I know you touched on some things you don't agree with her regarding her policies or perspective or outlook as a person. You touched on her immigration policy. What would you, rather have adjust for her to be more acceptable, not just within her party, but beyond?
It's going to be difficult because these are political views. For me as a Labour person, for example, there are views that I hold that has to be very much in sync with the Labour Party. And there was a reason why I joined the Labour Party. I could have joined the Conservative, but they do not align with my personal values. I believe in freedom. I believe in equity. I believe in justice. I believe in speaking for people who are on the grassroots. And in my own opinion, the Tory does not represent that. There's a Tory boy, and I know that Ekene used that word. There is a Tory boy, there is a picture, and those who have said that she is a blackface representing the white folk behind, in my own opinion, they're not exactly wrong. One of the things we need to recognize is that there's a lot of tokenism that is going on around at the moment. And when I use the word tokenism, it's the fact that we know what's going on in America, with Obama, with Kamala. There's a lot of power that immigrants have brought into the various nations that we've all gone into. Nigerians are the third largest immigrant in UK. Do you know what that is? The third largest immigrant in UK. We wield a lot of power, including political power. So, for example, I'm in a borough where we have one of the youngest. He's 34 years old, the leader of the council, 34-year-old Nigerian guy, extremely intelligent, very charismatic, and he's holding sway very, very well. His name is Anthony Okereke. There's a lot of us, there's so many Nigerians that are doing fantastically well here. And I'm hoping that this would help to change the face of politics in UK, not just in UK, including in the EU, is the fact that we're here. We're experts. Go to the universities, go to the hospitals, go to the schools. Nigerians are leading.
Yeah, let me quickly get the...
definitely going to be a change.
Apologies for butting in there. Let me quickly get the perspective of Ekene to all you have said so far. And also to ask, Ekene, how do you view her rise as a reflection? Do you think this would, make her acceptable among British, the British populace?
Well, let me start with that then. Speaking of her being accepted within the British populace, I think that's her strongest selling point, is that she's not someone who panders to sections. So this is possibly what puts people off about her. And it's what she calls identity politics, where you are exclusively appealing to people of a similar kind of a sect or alliance, political alliance. And she makes no bones about the fact that she's not playing to that. She tends to want to touch on difficult topics like she mentioned, the maternity pay. And within a certain context, these are conversations that need to be had. So there's certain so-called taboo topics because people are tiptoeing around them. She wades right in and she's bold enough to have those conversations. So I wouldn't necessarily see that as a minus. I would see it as a plus. So I feel that because she's able to engage and because she doesn't play that card of I'm a Black woman, she wants to make herself someone she sees herself. And you can see actually in the way she's assimilated herself into the political sphere. She's been in England for a shorter period than I've been in England as a British Nigerian. And yes, she has the confidence to put herself forward to represent the nation. I feel that can only happen because she holds herself to the same standard she exacts, which is that everybody should see culture as something that integrates everyone and not something that you have, exclusive, silos. And she's working hard to break that down because that's a significant challenge, whether people are prepared, whether the Labour Party or other parties are prepared to face it or not. Immigration is a very serious issue. And you're going to have those conversations one way or the other. She does admit that she does get it wrong. She's a human being after all, but she's not afraid to have those conversations in an honest, sincere, and to tell you where she's coming from. So from that perspective, I would say that is her strongest point.
Well, in line of all you said regarding her track record, her career so far trajectory, do you think, she can, in future, become the Prime Minister of UK?
Well, someone I know who works closely with her, who works in the Conservative Party, a Nigerian as well, has said that she can because of the courage she demonstrates, but only if she manages to unite the party, because currently the biggest problem bedeviling the Conservative Party is the infighting. Yeah. But she has so far in the interviews she's hosted, she's expressed that. She said even in her campaign leading up to this victory, she didn't target any of the contestants. She focused on the positives. And that's the way she wants to go forward. So if she manages to unite the party behind her, that would be a significant feat because, as you can see, she looks different, she sounds different. So if she manages to galvanize everyone behind her vision, then know that she not only talks, she actually walks it.
Let me come to Lade now. Lade, what are your thoughts on her, odds or, in favor of her being the next Prime Minister, possibly, of the UK?
I was extremely impressed with her speech, acceptance speech. It said a lot, and I totally agree with what Ekenes just said now. She looks to me like the type of person who will unite the party together. There's been a lot of infighting even before this latest leadership tussle that they've had. Since Rishi became Prime Minister, from what I've heard, there's been lots of infighting. But her speech, her acceptance speech this evening or afternoon was extremely broad, very, very welcoming, very acknowledging of the work other people have put in. Is the fact that she went into bits and pieces and she was very conscious. That, for me, is the speech of a leader who is going to switch on the role this time around of her maternal skills, uniting people together. And that's one thing good women do. Good women would look out to make sure that the house remains the same. So I'm hoping that, and one other bit that I like that she said is the fact that she wants to unite the Conservative Party so that they can hold the Labour Party to account. And that's the beauty of democracy. We're not in a unitary type of politics where there's only one party ruling. Of course, we want to be held to account. I think it's a beautiful thing when the Tory party can call us, can call the Labour Party into attention and said, you promised this, you said you were going to do this, you're going off, can you come back now? And that's what you call the critical friend and the ability for you to have another person scrutinizing your policies, your procedure. It's really nice. But for me, I was extremely impressed with her speech.
Indeed. Thank you so much. Lade Hefsiba Olugbemi, Councillor, West Tastemead Royal Borough, as well as Ekene Ezeji, Public Affairs Analyst. Many thanks indeed for your time.
Thank you for having us. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for staying tuned. The governor of Kaduna State, Sani, has tasked the recently elected 23 local government chairmen of the state to ensure the efficient and transparent use of public funds for the benefit of citizens in the areas of administration. And this was during the swearing-in ceremony of the newly elected local government chairmen of the state, which held at the council chambers of the Kaduna State Government House. Sani, along with the Speaker of the House of Representatives, emphasized the need for transparency and accountability in the management and use of public funds so as to get the trust of citizens of the state.
Ensure that the dividends of democracy are equitably distributed without prejudice to political affiliation, gender, religious belief, or ethnic background. Also, you are taking charge as captains of local governments when the third tier of government has been granted financial autonomy. Your allocation from the federation account will be public knowledge, necessitating transparency and accountability.
The government will be putting eyes to ensure that every resource given to the local government is judicially.
Some voters in the Karu local government area of Nasarawa State have accused the state government of disenfranchising them from the local government polls which has taken place on Saturday. However, speaking to other voters who took part in the exercise, they saw them commend the Nasarawa State Independent Electoral Commission for the conduct of the poll. Some of them, though, expressed worry over the absence of the opposition PDP who boycotted the election. Our correspondents report from Karo local government area of Nasarawa State, and that's Emmanuel Bagudu.
Karo, the most populated local government in Nasarawa State, borders the Federal Capital Territory. Today is local government election day, and while prospective voters expect a hitch-free exercise, there seems to be mixed reactions from voters, especially as the opposition PDP has refused to participate in the poll.
And since they started, they have not been quarried. Everything was moving smoothly. Everyone was cooperating with the next person in his back, and everything went smoothly.
The APC contested, the SDP too has candidate, and the Labour Party. But it's quite unfortunate that the PDP did not participate in the election, but it's not encouraging.
While these voters are thankful for a hitch-free poll, News Central Television went round and discovered that voting did not take place in several voting units. This is Karo Central Primary School, the distribution center for all electoral materials, and this place also serves as polling unit 01. And unfortunately, this polling unit doesn't have electoral materials, and the voters are standing here beside me looking disappointed.
Here supposed to be the local government Karo Ward Collection Center. Unfortunately, we have told that moving from here to local government secretariat, or which is not supposed to be so. Here we supposed to declare the councillorship candidate to be declared from here before we move to secretariat.
Since we didn't bomb me for this country or for this Karo local government, I'd never see this kind of type of election for my life. Election that no one can see that today his vote. Everything is just mess. Automatic mess. I'm totally disappointed with Nasarawa State government.
I am here to vote on Unit 001. And I am quite disappointed for not seeing the election materials. In fact, I don't know what to say. I don't know where we are heading to.
The members of this place, the voters here have been so disenfranchised, which is unfortunate. It is anticipated that authorities concerned will do something. Here in Karo local government, Nasarawa State, for News Central, I am Emmanuel Bagudu.
Nigeria's Minister of Information says that the federal government's national communication team will resume a series of town hall meetings and engagements across the country, starting from the southeast region. The minister, after a meeting with members of the federal government's national communication team, comprising presidential spokesperson, special advisors on communications, and senior special assistants on communication at the Radio House in Abuja, says that the team has resolved to take the message of the government's effort and intervention to the people across geopolitical zones of the country.
It was a meeting of presidential spokespersons, special advisors on media, and senior special assistants on media all attached to the presidency. The Minister of Information, who had called the meeting, says that they were called to review the nation's national communication strategy. He says that efforts have been concluded to resume town hall meetings and the periodic ministerial briefings, but this time across several zones of the country, so as to update Nigerians of events by the present administration.
You know that we hold the periodic ministerial press briefings that we intend to continue with. We also want to continue with the town hall meetings that we have started. Very soon, the National Communications team will go to the southeastern part of the country to engage with Nigerians in town hall meetings so that we take to them, to their doorstep, the message of Mr. President and his government, and we also hear from them firsthand what their reaction and their observations are about policies and programs of government so that we bring it back to government. We'll go to the southeast. After that, we will go to the northeast, and we'll continue to do this in the interest of Nigerians.
The minister called on citizens to trust in the reforms process of the current administration, saying they will tackle challenges being faced by citizens.
We want to assure Nigerians once again that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's reforms, as difficult as they may appear, are aimed at ensuring that Nigerians reach its destination of prosperity that the president talks about all the time. All over the world, reforms are difficult, sometimes very difficult. Nigeria is not an exception, but I can assure you that the president is right on course. His team is very focused, is very determined to ensure that all the promises made by Mr. President to Nigerians will be kept.
He assured citizens that the federal government is committed to fulfilling the promises made to Nigerians. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
The Nigerian Army has called for enhanced partnership with the media to improve security communication during a recent visit by the management of the News Agency of Nigeria to the theater commander, JTF Northeast Operation Hadenkai. Major General Wahidi Shaibu said a collaborative approach could lead to more persuasive messaging that counter misinformation and uplifts community morale. He emphasized that the media's involvement is crucial in conveying the successes of military operation and fostering trust among the local population, ultimately aiding in the fight against terrorism in the region.
Use both the kinetic and the non-kinetic aspects of our operation. The kinetic being about 20%, while the non-kinetic is about 80% of the total goal to achieve whatever we have been to achieve so far. We will continue to do our best to ensure that we meet up with our mandate, and we also count on you and other news agencies to report the incident as factually as possible to ensure that the Nigerian public is well informed of the activities going on all across the country, especially the military activities. Some of the kinetic and non-kinetic approach we in the media have documented leading to the surrender of nearly 200,000 military, 460,000 surrendered due to what I said.
Still talking security, Operation Delta Hawk, a Delta State Government-backed security unit, is accused of shooting the director of photography from Nollywood in Asaba. According to News Central correspondent Austin Ozu, who closely followed the development, the victim is reportedly receiving treatment and responding positively at the Asaba Specialist Hospital.
A disturbing incident has unfolded in Asaba, Delta State capital, where Donwan Oputa, a highly regarded Nollywood director of photography, was allegedly shot by members of the Operation Delta Hawk security team, as revealed in a WhatsApp video circulating since 1st November 2024. Harry Umabelem, an eyewitness, described the accident, stating that at 1 a.m. on Friday along Asaba's Direct Labour Agency Way, suspected kidnappers injected him from a moving car. Subsequently, the joint security team discovered him on the roadside, and shortly thereafter, a similar vehicle refused to stop and was fired upon. According to an off-camera source, the victim misinterpreted the security personnel's flashlights as a potential threat from robbers and declined to stop, prompting the team to fire at the vehicle from behind. Others said Operation Delta Hawk claimed their intention was to disable the vehicle by firing at its tires, but the shots inevitably hit the Nollywood director of photography in the abdomen, resulting in severe injuries.
They rescued me and asked me to go and show them the scene, the last place that they dropped me. So when we get there, they came down and laid ambush and were inspecting the area. All of a sudden, we saw another red vehicle zoomed off. They were trying to stop the car to stop, but the driver did not stop. So that is where they now fired. But later when the car crashed, the guy said that he thought it was armed robbers. That was what happened there yesterday. So it was the same spot that those people dropped me. The same spot. They thought maybe it was those kidnappers. But they rescued those police people. They are the one that took us to FMC then before we come to the specialist.
Efforts to solicit response from the Director General of Operation Delta Hawk, the 63 Brigade spokesperson, including the spokesperson for the State Police Command concerning the issue, yielded no results. In the same vein, certain Nollywood members who visited the hospital to support their colleague refused to comment on the situation. In Asaba, for News Central, I'm Austin Azu.
The feminist movement has long sparked debates, with some discrediting it while others champions its cause. For young female entrepreneurs in Nigeria, feminism has become a powerful influence, shaping both their career paths and their life choices. Chidima Ona of News Central dives into this topic, offering deeper insights in this report.
There's no doubt that women are making significant strides in the corporate and business world. In Nigeria, an increasing number of women entrepreneurs are reshaping the business landscape, often driven by principles rooted in feminism. For these women, feminism is more than just a movement. It's a powerful force empowering them to overcome structural barriers and achieve lasting success.
The women that we see today and we look up to, they are our pioneers and trailblazers. They didn't sit back and wait for anybody to tell them. They went ahead and went to school and pushed for better jobs and pushed for more education and pushed for higher pay because they felt like they were worth it. They didn't wait for anybody to give it to them. So if you ask me, the biggest barriers to economic empowerment for women actually is a thing of the mind and is systematic. You can't fight the system is there. You can only reprogram yourself and reprogram as many people as you can.
Feminism's impact on Nigerian business is increasingly clear as it enhances access to resources, drives policy changes, and bolsters support networks. Support networks now serve as a crucial foundation for women in business, providing spaces to share experiences, offer guidance, and build partnerships grounded in solidarity.
Support is key. It cannot be underemphasized or pushed aside. Support is key. These networks are very invaluable, especially in a business landscape like ours, where women are often marginalized. So when we have this support, it provides women with that resilience, that extra boost that they need to be able to navigate a complex business environment like we have here in Nigeria.
Feminism has been and can be very instrumental in raising awareness and driving policy changes that, address gender-based inequalities in Nigeria. We cannot deny the benefits of feminism to not just women entrepreneurs, but the entire, ecosystem in terms of businesses.
Many believe that feminist movements are working to make resources accessible to all women, not just the privileged few. Through this approach, Nigerian women are not only building businesses, but also fostering an ecosystem of mutual support and growth. In Lagos for News Central, I am Chidima Ona.
Thank you for staying with us. In Botswana, the voices of the citizens have been heard after months of anticipation and fervent campaigning. The just concluded elections ushered in a new era. The Umbrella for Democratic Change claimed a historic victory in the nearly 6 decades of rule by Botswana Democratic Party. News Central's Bongani Ziba is in Botswana and gives updates.
In a dramatic shift of power, newly elected President Duma Boko celebrated his resounding success with a promise for a new era. In his first address to the nation, he declared that his government will be a listening government, vowing to prioritize voices of the people.
I dare not fail. I dare not disappoint. And I pledge with every fiber of my being that I will do everything I can not to fail, not to disappoint, appreciating always the enormity of the responsibility bestowed upon me by the people of this republic.
In the streets of Gaborone, citizens express a mixture of excitement and cautious hope. The air is filled with anticipation, yet many voices echo a desire for tangible results, action that goes beyond mere promises.
We finally stood up for ourselves and we fully expressed the values of democracy, and yeah, I'm very happy.
I'm hoping for good education, better health care. I'm hoping for the creation of employment and the industrialization of the country.
Botswana faces significant hurdles, economic challenges, high unemployment rate, and a struggling healthcare system are on the new president's plate, but the citizens are optimistic.
I believe that many Botswana have a lot of hope fundamentally in that the new government will hear them and will consult with them.
While there is excitement, the road ahead is not without its challenges. President Duma Boko inherits a nation yearning for solutions, and all eyes are on his administration to deliver.
And I hope that he gets into presidency and he fixes these issues of maladministration and also mismanagement of funds in our country, which is becoming a very, very prevalent issue.
Meanwhile, the outgoing President Mokgweetsi Masisi has congratulated President Duma Boko on his victory, promising a smooth exchange of power for the sake of the national unity. As Botswana enters the transformative period, the message is clear: the voice of the citizens will guide the nation's future. President Duma Boko stands ready to face the hurdles. It's now in his hands to turn hope into reality. In Gaborone, Botswana, for News Central, Bongani Ziba.
Chad's government has firmly rejected a report that its army struck civilians in an anti-jihadist operation, which local sources told newsmen had killed scores of fishermen in neighboring Nigeria. In response to a Boko Haram attack on the Chadian military base that killed at least 40 last week, Chad's army launched an airstrike pummeling Tilma Island in the Kukawa district of Nigerian side of Lake Chad. According to eyewitnesses and anti-jihadist militia, the airstrike killed fishermen who were caring for the catch, an allegation Chad denies. In business, a foremost Nigerian business mogul have underscored how effective corporate governance can shape a thriving entrepreneurial landscape. They argued that good governance is foundational for creating a business environment rooted in accountability, transparency, and resilience. The structured approach aligns the company's actions with the market's needs, making it adaptable to changing economic trends and technological advancement. Our correspondent Lekon Obanjo tells us more.
In business, Nigerian businesses experienced a significant downturn in October
as rising costs and inflationary pressures led to a sharp decline in business activity. The Stanbic IBTC Purchasing Managers Index PMI for October revealed a reading of 46.9, marking the steepest fall in 19 months. The report highlighted a surge in input costs, forcing businesses to increase selling prices. This in turn resulted in a decline in new orders and overall business activity. Business sentiment reached an all-time low, reflecting the challenging operating environment. Meanwhile, Fitch Ratings has reaffirmed Nigeria's long-term foreign currency issuer default rating at B- with a positive outlook. The agency cited the country's progress in implementing reforms that enhance policy coherence as a key factor in this decision. While Nigeria's large economy, developed domestic debt market, and significant oil and gas reserves support its rating, challenges such as weak governance, high inflation, and security issues continue to pose risks. The positive outlook reflects optimism about Nigeria's ongoing reform efforts and their potential to improve macroeconomic stability. Meanwhile, Fitch Ratings has reaffirmed Nigeria's long-term foreign currency issuer default rating at B- with a positive outlook. The agency cited the country's progress in implementing reforms that enhance policy coherence as a key factor in this decision. While Nigeria's large economy, developed domestic debt market, and significant oil and gas reserves support its rating, challenges such as weak governance, high inflation, and security issues continue to pose risks. The positive outlook reflects optimism about Nigeria's ongoing reform efforts and their potential to improve macroeconomic stability. Nigeria faces a looming food crisis, with the UN projecting a 7 million increase in the number of hungry people by August 2025. The joint report by the Nigerian government and the UN warns that 33.1 million people could face food insecurity by next year. Insecurity in the country's northern parts, coupled with recent flooding and adverse weather conditions, has further exacerbated the situation. The government's recent economic reforms, while aimed at improving the economy, have also contributed to rising food and transportation costs, adding to the woes of millions of Nigerians. And finally, on the foreign scene, a U.S. judge has ruled that former Twitter executives may proceed with a lawsuit against Elon Musk over severance entitlements allegedly withheld during his $44 billion acquisition of the company in 2022. The decision allows former CEO Parag Agrawal, alongside top executives Vijaya Gad, Ned Segal, and Sean Edgett, to pursue compensation claims. The executives argue Musk dismissed them to prevent formal resignations, thereby blocking their severance packages. Citing statements from Walter Isaacson's recent biography, the lawsuit claims Musk's urgency to close the deal influenced his actions. Judge Maxine Chesney's ruling rejected Musk's request to dismiss the case, marking another legal challenge amid Musk's ongoing severance disputes with former Twitter employees. And that's a package on business news at this time. Thank you for watching. I am Perpetua Fasami Peter. The news continues shortly.
And for sports stories, Udoka Njoko has details.
The match between Nigeria and Zambia, which was supposed to be played today at the IHF Trophy Africa Men Continental Phase in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, has been shifted to Sunday. The national under-18 men handball team, led by coach Emeka Nnamani, were to leave for Addis Ababa from Lagos on Friday, but could not because of scheduling reasons and had to leave on Saturday morning. They will play against Zambia on Sunday and will then play host Ethiopia on Monday. Nigeria's under-18 handball team are the defending champions of the continental phase, which they won in Congo-Brazzaville 2 years ago, after which they went on to finish third globally in the intercontinental phase in Kosovo. In football, Liverpool came from behind to beat Brighton 2-1 and go top of the Premier League thanks to goals from Mo Salah, who scored the winner at Anfield on Saturday. Fede Kadioglu's strike ensured Brighton finished the first half on top, but 2 quick-fire goals from Cody Gakpo and Salah punished Brighton. The 13th win in 15 games in charge for Arne Slot takes Liverpool 2 points clear of Manchester City. Brighton pushed the hosts back towards the end of the game, but Liverpool held on for a vital 3 points on a day that title rivals Arsenal and Manchester City stumbled. Manchester City's 32-match unbeaten run in the Premier League came to an end in a 2-1 defeat at Bournemouth on Saturday that saw the champions toppled by Liverpool at the top of the table. The Cherries struck either side of halftime through Antoine Semenyo and Ivan Ilsen before Josko Vadio pulled one back for City. Pep Guardiola's men, hampered by a number of injuries, were beaten for the first time this season. Erling Haaland should have snatched a point deep into stoppage time when he hit the post from point-blank range. City fall 2 points behind Liverpool, who came from behind to beat Brighton 2-1 at Anfield. Tens of thousands of Los Angeles Dodgers fans celebrated the World Series title with a parade on Friday, the first time since 1988 they could offer such a salute to the squad. The Dodgers won their 8th Major League Baseball crown and second in 5 seasons by defeating the New York Yankees on the road to capture the best-of-7 final 4-1. It marked their first championship since 2020, but the COVID-19 pandemic prevented the parade to commemorate the feat that year. On Friday, for the first time in 36 years, the Dodgers were able to celebrate with fans in a downtown Los Angeles parade as well as a special gathering at the Dodger Stadium. Ohtani made baseball history this year, becoming the first player to hit 50 home runs and steal 50 bases in a single season. And that's a wrap on Sport Update. I am Udoka Njoku.
And that's all on the news. But let's take a look again at some of the major stories. Nigerian-born Kemi Badenoch elected leader of UK's Conservative Party. PDP backs out of Nasarawa Council election as voters groan over disenfranchisement. UNICEF to vaccinate 3.8 million children across northern Nigeria. You can watch Central live on DSTV, channel 422, Star Times, channel 274, Abo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Adebola Adedugba.